Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Please, if you would, like and subscribe. I would sincerely appreciate it. And we're getting many more views lately. Not a lot of additional subscribers, but that is what it is. Anyway, I would appreciate any help at all that you could give to the channel. Anything that I do goes right back into the channel. Anyway, so today's topic is, I've been giving a lot of thought to the mistakes I've made in life and the choices I've made in life. And I'm sure many of you out there do the same thing. But this part, I don't know how prevalent it is out in the population, general population, but I do a lot of self-loathing and self-hatred for the choices I've made and the mistakes I've made. Now, I guess I will give some definite examples. Beyond my poor choices in long-term relationships, there have been many. Beyond those, just the career choices I've made, the choices I've made in terms of where I went to school, what I did when I was in school, how much of my life I really wasted kind of, not even on pursuits that some would say are frivolous, but pursuits that were, I guess, less than noble or I didn't derive any benefit at all from them. And I'll give you an example. So if you spend a lot of time studying theology or studying philosophy or studying even things as esoteric as art and music theory or many people would say, well, that's a waste of time because there's not a practical application, even though I and many others would argue to the contrary. But these are not things that I undertook. No, I wasted my time, a lot of my time on frivolous pursuits like just basically hanging out, drinking, carousing, womanizing. And these are choices that I regret because they're really, not only did I not derive a lot of satisfaction out of those choices, frankly, it has been the polar opposite. I mean, they have been harmful or deleterious in the application of in their application within my life. So not only did I waste a lot of that time, but I harmed myself in many ways by undertaking these frivolous and scandalous pursuits. So, having made poor choices, they can't be undone, but somehow I can't escape the self-loathing part of it, the hating that I did these things, the fact that I knew better or should have known better, but made these choices anyway. And I guess that's the part that's inescapable for me, is the why I did what I did, and how I could have done it better, and how much better my life would have turned out in the end. Some of them, had the opportunity to have children early and didn't do that. My kids would be full grown at this point, and it's something that I have to live with now, and many of you out there, I'm sure, are the same way. There are choices you made in life that you have to live with. Going to college, which was not something I really, really wanted to do, but everybody told you at the time, now this is the early 80s, that you had to go to college because the benefits were just so much better than somebody who, undertook a trade or, even became a salesman. And I will tell you 100% for a fact that I have known salespeople in my life who have been multi-million-dollar earners over their lifetimes that never set foot in college, never thought about going to college, but they had the skill set to be salespeople, and they did very well for themselves and for their families. So I know today is different in some ways, but not so different in others. I would say that that's a choice that many of you out there may be facing now or have faced in the recent past that may or may not derive benefits from. I'm not here to give advice, financial or otherwise. I'm just here to talk about what has happened to me and how that has affected me. So I had the opportunity to. One of the things that I really enjoy is electronics, and have spent a lot of time tinkering with electronics over my lifetime, and that's something that I very much could have made into a trade, but was always just more of a hobby than anything else. It dawns on you, I think, after the fact. It's like they say, hindsight is always 20/20. And for some of us it is. For other folks, there never is any kind of hindsight. They just keep plowing forward, making the same mistakes. So I guess if nothing else, what I can say is I feel like I've learned from my mistakes, and I talk about these things. And the outgrowth is I talk about these things in a public fashion to give people food for thought in their own lives. And again, I'm not giving advice, certainly not any kind of financial advice. You wouldn't want that from me, but even life advice. But sometimes you have to explore your conscience, explore what's really, truly best for you, and not make decisions for other people or for the wrong reasons. And this is something I've explored in other videos. I think I've talked about how when I was married the first time, I had the opportunity to get a full ride to Ohio State, and I did not avail myself of that because my first wife did not want me to leave. How I had the opportunity for a very good job in Albany, and did not avail myself of that because my second wife didn't want me to leave. So I think those are two things that really set me back in life. They're not the only things. But I would say for those of you out there who have opportunities, who are exploring the full potential of your life, certainly explore those things to the fullest extent possible. Don't let people or things hold you back. I have talked about in another video how whether or not it is more beneficial economically to stay close to where your roots were established, or whether it makes sense to move for economic purposes, and I guess it's not just economic purposes. Sometimes where your roots are, where you're from, where your roots are, may not be the best thing for you. Maybe the circle of people around you is toxic, or envious of anyone who would escape the nature of that reality, and so it might be good to move away. I think these are things that I'm coming to realize. It's certainly on an individual basis, what works for me isn't going to work for you, and it won't work for somebody else. But I don't want this to be too long. I just wanted to say I have regrets. They say better to regret the things you have done than those you haven't. I would beg to disagree with that. There are plenty of reasons to regret both the things you've done and the things you haven't done. And these are the choices we make. We have to live with them, and that's part of wrestling with who we are as men. And I thank you for your time, your patience, and certainly if you are willing and enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. I will see you all down the road. Thank you.